A spectacular night of racing in the SuperMotocross World Championship and Monster Energy AMA Supercross from Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida. The fans just starting to file out and the track being torn down, but the fans had to stay to the end because look at this action. Last turn, last lap of our 250 main. Hunter Lawrence passes Nate Thrasher. Thrasher almost gets him back at the line. Lawrence emerges with 2 victories in the first 2 rounds of 250 Supercross East. Max Anstey joining Thrasher on the podium in that 250 division. And then late in the race, Cooper Webb putting pressure on Chase Sexton. Sexton goes down. Webb is a winner for the first time in 2023. And the 450 championship points are incredibly close after, again, great racing here in the Sunshine State. Jason Wygant joined by my fellow SMX Insider Daniel Blair and the great James Stewart with us as well. Well, they kept us interested and excited all the way to the end of both races.
It was a wild night of racing, I'll tell you that. Like, if you left early, you definitely missed something. You got Hunter Lawrence coming down. He was getting a thrashing by Nate. Nate was doing his business, but Hunter kept hunting him down, and he got him down on the last corner. And then, I mean, what can you say about Cooper? Like, what can you say? I mean, it ain't really nothing besides he got it done again.
It was awesome. I mean, that's why we go 15 minutes in the 250 and 20 in the 450, because you just never know. And if you're Hunter Lawrence, right, you're thinking, just take the points. We're good. It's Thrasher. He was way off in round 1. It's big pick. And he just didn't want to lose tonight. He lives 30 minutes from here. He poured it on late. And you're right, Cooper just sitting there like a shark. I could hear the jut done it, done it. I could hear it. Where's that? It's Cooper, and he's coming in for Chase Sexton. I feel for the guy. I mean, he had that one, but then again, he didn't. You know, I mean, Cooper was there, and the big mistake came out. It's just a fun night of racing.
Absolutely. Let's start with our 250 highlights. Jed Lawrence here. It's the home race, as you said, Daniel, for the Lawrence brothers. Originally out of Australia, but they live about a half-hour away. There's Jed, the points leader in the 250 West division, and his brother Hunter is the 250 East points leader, but Hunter here gets boxed in off the start, James.
Yeah, Hunter got a bad start. Like, he got a pretty good jump, and he started spinning halfway down, but you know, he did his best not to go down and get caught up in too much traffic, but that allowed Nate out front. Nate was way out front, and then, you know, take it from here.
Yeah, well, he had the start. He said on the podium after the heat race, he goes, God, if I start up front, I can win, and he definitely had a shot at it. And for Jordan Smith, James, you mentioned, first lap, it's pure chaos. You can't see nothing, and he's on the ground.
Yeah, and it's terrible for him. Like, the first lap to go down in the worst spot. In the sand, you're dirty now. Like, nothing's good going to happen, but you know, Hunter gets in, and he had this awkward line he kept getting with Michael, and Michael kept closing him off, but they went back and forth for a while until, yeah, it's getting a little hot
contact there. Yeah, and you see Hayden Deegan, the rookie who won the heat race earlier the night in only his second pro race. He's in the mix with them as well. Eventually, Hunter's able to shut the line off on Deegan here. Deegan can't jump the finish line.
Hey, that's pretty smart racecraft, don't you think, of Deegan right there? I mean, hey, you'd love to just go for it and stay in this thing, but James, did you like that, the ability to just shut it off there?
Did you like this?
Well,
coming in on Mosman and takes him down.
Of course, and you know, one thing Hunter's got to remember is that Mosman, he's aggressive too. He's kind of like Barsha, so don't be shocked if it happens back to you. But what you said, Daniel, like, I think Hunter cut him off just to do that so Hayden wouldn't be able to cut back underneath him. And
now
then,
Hunter's able to make a move on Max Anstey's up to second after making the move on Mosman, after making the move on Deegan, and it looked like it was Thrasher's race, but coming down to the wire, Hunter gets there. He gets hit by Thrasher. Thrasher's going to do everything he can to guard the inside, but watch Hunter somehow slide the motorcycle in there.
Well, little skills on the bills over there, but Nate was caught in an awkward position, and you know, he's just like, did this just happen? Yes, it did. It just happened.
Is this on purpose by Thrasher, or is it just going for it, James?
Well, I mean, anything goes. I mean,
yeah.
I'm telling you, if Grandma was out there for a race win, she's going to get knocked down. I'm
taking her down?
I'm sorry. And, you know, she can cook you dinner later, but this is for a race win, and, you know, Hunter did what he needed to do.
Unbelievable. 0.134 seconds is the final margin of victory. You see the emotion from Hunter coming from behind for the win, and Thrasher does give him the congrats on a good race, but you know, he was absolutely devastated to give that away after leading every single corner of that race except the final one. And there is Max Anstey also on the podium, back-to-back trips to the box for the veteran and very likable man out of England. There are the results. Deegan, fourth again, Daniel.
Yeah, 2 fourths, but this one looked different to me. I felt like last week it was like, whoa, I got fourth. This week he had purpose. That heat race and then that one. Ooh, he's scary good early.
That is good news for his Monster Energy Yamaha Star Racing team. Bad news is that Jordan Smith, third, finishes 15th, loses a ton of points. Let's get the emotion, as we mentioned, for the podium. Here's Daniel with a race winner.
And I am with Hunter Lawrence, Raymond James Stadium. Did you guys like that one? Hunter, winning's fun, right? Winning's fun. How about winning like that?
I'm not allowed to cuss on live TV, but wow, that was awesome. I'm still hyped up. That was what a ride. That was freaking awesome. Yeah, got some work to do on the starts this week, but yeah, wow, far out. What a freaking race, yeah. What a race to have at home. First home race here in Tampa, and it went down to the line. That was just badass.
Take me through this pass.
I still wasn't 100% sure. I was sliding, but I'm like, oh, I'll give it a crack, and then I heard him seat bound. I'm like, get over the line. Wow. Awesome.
Congratulations on the night. Great start to the season and an absolutely phenomenal performance in front of a fan base that really enjoyed that one. Congrats.
I want to give a shout out to all my neighbors here from the Ridge. Appreciate you guys sitting in the rain for me. And thank you, Tampa.
Congratulations, Hunter. Will Christian.
Hunter Lawrence and Anstey are the only two to podium in both races to start the season. Jordan Smith podiums last week, has a bad one this time around, and look at that. The rookie Hayden Deegan is third in the points. Can we start talking about him being a title contender? I don't know if we can't. That's pretty wild. But Hunter Lawrence and the Lawrence brothers continue to be the story of the 250 class. Let's send it next door for more analysis with Lee Diffie and Ricky Carmichael.
Jason, I think the entire evening in the 250 class gave us so much entertainment, but we'll be talking about that finish for quite some time. Where does it rank for you?
That was incredible. What is one of the closest finishes ever in 250 Supercross history, and perfect execution by Hunter Lawrence. And he came from a long ways back. He was riding aggressive, some of the most aggressive riding that I've seen. But it was a must situation. He had to get up there because Nate Thrasher had such a big lead. And man, you just got to feel for Nate Thrasher so close. If you're going to lose a race, you can't lose any closer than that. But he left that door open in that last right-handed corner, and it was an incredible bike control. It was incredible bike control that Hunter had. Watch as they come through here. We're going to play it again for you. Hunter's going to go to the outside. Nate Thrasher doing exactly what he should have done right there. And Hunter is able to stay up, but watch the bike control that Hunter Lawrence has right here. He's sliding the bike sideways. Nate just doesn't play defense enough. Tried to get back at him by jumping over that jump tabletop. Just comes up.
Watch this. Thrasher takes that mid-corner berm jump over that Hunter Lawrence had been taking multiple times during the race that didn't kind of work out for him when he was fighting Michael Mosman.
That's funny. You look at that pass. Hunter never even touched Nate Thrasher in that last corner to make it. But look at the sportsmanship right there. I love it.
Good sportsmanship. And for that, I think we mentioned during the call, it was the epitome of, it's never over until it's over. But that drift, that slide, that drift in up on the foot pegs was just fantastic.
Yeah, it was great camera work by our crew. Yeah, but to slide that like he was doing, but Nate Thrasher left the door open, and Hunter saw that, I believe, and he did exactly what he should have done. And all bets are off when it comes to a main event win. You just have to assume that a move like that is going to happen.
And guys, I think the other thing we have to consider, and you showed it during the highlights, is the number of people who had adversity during that main event. So Jordan Smith, Tom Vial, many, many others. So there could have been more in the mix. Michael Mosman as well. So it was an awesome main event, and it just gives us a whole lot more to look forward to next weekend in Oakland.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Lee and Ricky. And we'll give you some more of that analysis before we get to that Oakland race. Be sure to watch our SMX Insider show with myself and Daniel every Thursday on the SuperMotocross YouTube channel. And there are many, many stories from off the podium that we have to unpack. I'm not even sure what happened to Jordan Smith. He went on early. He made his way toward the top 5, and then late in the race, credited with a 15th. So there's so much to talk about from this race, and that's just from the 250 class. Now, let's get to the 450s, which also went down to the late stages. Chase Sexton had unbelievable speed in his heat race. We've heard that before. Eli Tomac on the ropes in the heat race. We've heard that before. The question was, could Chase finish it off? He certainly looked good early, James.
Yeah, Chase actually didn't get a good start, and he did a really good move by sliding around the inside. And then you have to think, this was the difference between last week. He was behind Eli. He's out front. So it's all on him. He's been the fastest all day long, so you would think he would be able to pull away. But there's a number 2 behind him. And we'll figure that one out too soon.
This we've seen a million times, too. Jason Anderson, Justin Barcia together again.
I mean, how many times in the history of Supercross have we seen this? And when you think it's done, just wait 3 weeks. But tough break for Anderson. James, you talked all day how good he looked. He looked like he understood the soil. He was ready to fight for this thing, but didn't get it. I love the main event. Cooper Webb he would lose time, gain time, lose time. But once he locked in there late, it seemed inevitable, kind of. But then Chase gave it to him.
Yeah, you can see it. You can see it coming, and you know the whoops were a struggle for everyone. Cooper made mistakes and stuff, but the biggest thing was Cooper was watching Chase make mistakes, and as a rider being there in that position, you're just waiting. So once Cooper made that mistake, he knew it was never over, and especially with Chase having history, you just got a chance, and man, he went down again.
There it was. So many times Sexton has been the fastest rider. So many times Sexton's led late only to crash. And Cooper Webb, for the first time since his 2021 championship season, is back on top. He was 5th last week. It looked like he was losing the pace that Tomac and Sexton had set up front. He is back in a huge way. And when you give this guy that kind of momentum, we've seen it in previous seasons, he is very hard to hold down.
Yeah, very hard. And the way Cooper rode in that heat race, imagine if he would have done that in the main event. Like, we talking about a whole different, like, his championship might have been done if he would have done what Eli did. Just kind of ride around. But now, the Webb wagon. The Webb wagon's back. And
firing up.
You're looking at Chase
And
Sexton.
look at the difference. Yeah.
You know? And again, he said the right things, but of course, that face right there, like, it says it all. Like, that hurts.
It did. We've seen Sexton in that position many, many times. He did come up to the podium with you, Daniel, and say all the positive things. He's still close in the championship. He rode well most of the night. You know he wanted to finish that one off, and it's even worse when it's Webb getting up there because give him an opening, he will take the maximum advantage. Adam Cianciarulo had a good race going. He did crash in the whoops and eventually finished up in 12th. And credit to Ken Roxon for finishing 4th, and Tomac, a lackluster by his standards, 5th. Send it down to Will Christian with a very happy race winner.
Thank you, Jason, and wow, what a night it was. Congratulations to you again. It's been such an interesting start to the season, right? We saw you on the box there with a couple of seconds, and then we saw you miss the podium. So just talk me through the ebbs and flows of this season so far that's landed you on top of the box here this weekend.
It's just a tough season, like you said. It started off great, had a little hiccup last weekend with a bad result, but this class is so stacked, and tonight I felt, man, I was so happy. I just fought all the way through, put myself in a good position, was riding right there with Chase, and we were going really fast, and I could see him making some mistakes, and I was ready to pounce. So, he went down, but I took advantage of that mistake, and just feels so great to get a win. It's been such a long time, and, as far as the season, I needed it. I needed to get the maximized points and get that first win going to get some confidence and get the ball rolling. So I'm stoked, and just feels so good to do it here on the East Coast in front of Tampa, in front of friends and family.
And you said you needed it at this point in the season, probably even more so. Was there pressure coming from the team? Were you putting pressure on yourself, knowing really that it needed to start now?
It was pressure on me. The team's been great. It's me. I know how tough it is and how fierce these competitors are. So I knew Eli was going to be tough. He's going to be tough this whole season, and Chase is really riding well too. So like I said, it needed to happen if I wanted to be a championship contender, and we made it happen. So I'm stoked, and like I said, it just really does feel amazing. Nothing beats this feeling right here.
A lot of fun to watch. Congratulations again. Thanks, Coop.
Thank you, guys.
This is incredible when we do the math on the standings. Look at this. Tomac after the 5th, Sexton after the 2nd, and Webb with the win. 4 points separating those 3 riders. 2 two-time champions, and the rider expected to be the next great champion of this sport. We could be locked in for a great season-long battle. Anderson, though, got to feel like this is one that got away. He could have made up some ground on Tomac today, but he went down early and did not. Send it back next door. More analysis from Lee and Ricky.
Well, Jason, I think the topic in the discussion that can be expanded here and the points kind of enhance the discussion, right? We can go down the road, and you're a perfectionist, and you have that right, being the GOAT. You're a perfectionist, so you could say that this young man who's a 2-time 250 champion should not keep making mistakes when he's in the lead. But then you look at the points and say, well, he's only 2 points out of the lead of the championship.
Yeah.
So where do you go?
Yeah, well, I go to where he could have been had he not made those mistakes. And really, that's reality. Yeah, he's in a great spot, but think if he didn't make those continuous mistakes that he always does, where he'd be in a lot better spot. And down the stretch, he's going to kick himself. And these little mistakes are going to come back to haunt him. But what I liked about Cooper Webb when listening to him is he said he saw little mistakes that Chase was making. So it's almost like he knew he was going to get him at the end, and he kept the pressure on Cooper Webb, or Chase Sexton, like he needs to do. And the guy's a shark. You better watch him, and you don't want that guy to get hot. In my opinion, I think he's the most mentally sound guy when he's in a position that he's in right now.
Well, let's have another look at the Sexton moment, the Sexton incident that resulted in that constant pressure from Cooper Webb. So here in the beach, this was one where he kind of like cased that last jump there a little bit and got stuck. Got out of there okay. Didn't really lose anything to Cooper Webb there. This was the moment where he lost everything, where he lost the win.
Yep. Starts going sideways, and he said that he went down the middle line of the whoops where the guys are jumping, and you have to be careful when you do that, because that's when the bike can start dancing side to side, right? Because if you're not perfectly straight, that's when it starts going sideways, and you can see the frustration. But this is on him, and I think he's the only one that's going to be able to fix this. And I think it's upstairs. I think it's mental. I really believe that when you make those mistakes time and time again, you keep doing it. The only thing I can think of is it's between the ears, but he's got to fix it. He's lucky. Honestly, he's lucky he's where he's at in the point system.
And just there doing some extra analysis of his own, like how did this happen? Where did I catch that edge to spit me off? And, you know, I said there during that last piece that this is where he lost the win. That's not guaranteed, but he was showing that he was handling that pressure decently, effectively.
He does, and I like Chase Sexton. He's a great kid. I mean, he's got a really bright future, but I keep saying it, you can't make the same mistake twice, and it's biting him, especially when Eli Tomac's been riding so well, and you got Cooper Webb. You know what Cooper Webb's capable of doing. You can't give those points up like that to two-time champions.
And fellas, I remember multiple times last year us saying, are we really going to go through a full season of Monster Energy Supercross and not see Cooper Webb, a two-time champ, win? We don't have to say that for 2023 anymore.
No, that's right, Lee. And you saw signs at the first two rounds. He was keeping some pressure on Eli Tomac, but the next two races weren't quite as good. This is a big sign, if you're a Cooper Webb fan, that he's in that fight again with Sexton and Tomac. And the good thing about Monster Energy Supercross, you don't have to wait long for the next one. We'll be back next Saturday at Oakland. This is a reschedule. The Oakland race was supposed to take place in January. Weather led to a postponement. This is a West Coast round, but we're starting early so we can have our night show start at 8 p.m. Eastern. That'll be 5 o'clock out in California. You can catch all the action live on Peacock, and again, supermotocross.com for all the post-race analysis like you're watching right now. So, as I said, not a long time for Chase Sexton to get over it, not a long time for Cooper Webb to build on this win, and Eli Tomac, he's got to rebuild a little bit. So, James, what are you thinking going into Oakland?
Well, if I'm Chase Sexton, as Ricky alluded to, I think it is between the ears because, yes, when you look at the big picture, he did gain points on Eli Tomac. But the problem is for Chase is what happens at the end of the season when it counts. Like if you keep getting put in these situations and you gain points on the technicality, when you have to go do it, can you do it? And I think this is where that part in the mind of these finishes and these things happening frustrates him. So as much as he's gaining points, he's not gaining confidence from him. And I think that's why you see that look after the race of a guy that's like, well, I gained points, but I mean, what is it going to do? If I need to do it, can I? And I haven't been able to show that I can.
For me, I look at the points, and that's a big part of this thing, obviously, if you're trying to win a championship. And I think back now, we're 5 races done. 4 of those 5 races, Chase Sexton left super frustrated, like really, really upset. And if you are 2 points down and you've been this upset after 5 races and you're only 2 down, that tells me that once it does click, I think it's going to click hard. And I wouldn't be surprised if the one race when he puts it over the finish line, 20+1, and I think it's going to all make sense. And then I wouldn't be surprised if there's a run coming because I truly think overall he's got the pieces to be the best. but he has got to close a 20. And when he does, I think it changes everything. And for a guy who's been mad 4 of the 5 races, you're only 2 down. Will, I'd take that.
We started this show saying how excited the fans were at the end of the races. But yes, there were 2 very disappointed riders. Sexton leading most of the 450 main and not getting the win. And Nate Thrasher leading every last corner except one of the 250 main. Let's send it down to Will Christian. The emotion down there for those 2 young men, how are they going to bounce back in just 7 days?
Exactly, Jason. I mean, honestly, my thoughts are right there with you. You guys were just kind of focusing on Chase more than, but I'm looking next week as we go into Oakland. How do they move on from the night that could have been? I mean, for both of them, they were in a fantastic position there. They both took ownership of the mistakes that were made on the podium, so they know what they need to do. They're aware of it. But Ricky, like you said, you know, he keeps repeating them in Chase's case. For Nate Thrasher, well, he's got to try and figure this out. He's got to allow these incidents not to happen, these little windows, as you put it there, which Hunter Lawrence was able to take advantage on, as we're looking on screen now. That has to stop, because we saw Hunter Lawrence and we saw Cooper Webb just out there showcasing their prowess. And if they are going to be stopped, then these guys have got to be able to move on. They have to be able to, obviously, like they've done, take ownership of it, but then they've got to fix it. And how will they do that? That's what I'm fascinated to see next week and in Oakland is, how they're going to move on from this.
Yeah, absolutely. And one other interesting story, we started this night celebrating Eli Tomac, thinking perhaps he's going to win, tie Ricky Carmichael with 3rd on the all-time Supercross win list. He was 31 seconds down in 5th, and the heat race wasn't good either. That was a rare, we have not seen the off night in Tomac in a couple of years now.
Yeah, it's been a while since we saw that. So, Rick, we make it again. It's going to be another week on you talking about him closing in on your record. But
We do.
Just thinking about this, if you look at the podium between the 250 class and the 450, you had the exact same riders in the same positions. Like, you had the guys who won capitalized on the guys who make second. Both of those 2 guys, Chase and Nate, they're pretty bummed. And then you got Aaron Plessinger and the other guy, I can't think of his name right now. I'm just making a mistake. Anstey, just happy for life, ready to go hanging out. So it was, it's crazy to look. They both was the same in those, but it was a great night of racing.
And let's remember that it'll be the 250 West Championship that roars back into action next weekend in Oakland for that postponed event.
Yep.
I want to know, because we see you do it each and every weekend where you get down on the track and you really do some early analysis of who looks good, what are the aspects of the track that get your attention, which I think there might be some, points of difficulty for the riders.
Right.
Are you going to be watching Tomac more carefully because of tonight?
I am, and the things that I'm going to watch when I'm down there on the track is how he feels like on flat, slippery corners, how he looks in the whoops. I'm going to be looking at his lap times and how he responds. That's what I'm going to be looking for. I know how Chase Sexton, I have a better idea of how Chase Sexton is going to respond. He's going to be fast. He's the fastest guy, but I don't even worry about him until the last 10 minutes of the main event. You know, can he close it out? So that's what I'm going to be looking for him. I think Cooper Webb is in a great position right now, so I know where he's going to be at. But I want to see, like I said, I want to see how Eli Tomac responds. The last week in the heat race didn't go well. This week in the heat race didn't go well. The main event didn't go well. I'm sure he wasn't comfortable. However, I need to see something from him next week.
A new week, a new chance.
Yeah.
We will find out. And this championship is well and truly alive. The return to Raymond James Stadium and Tampa here in Florida was nothing short of fantastic. Boy, the fans got treated to so much. And again, the postponed round from Oakland earlier this year, it roars into life this coming weekend for 250 West and 450 action. On behalf of the entire team, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next week.